then becomes little bubbles and goes over. No one knows that until you do it. Now, how do you feed a person a spaceship? You put the fluid in the bag and you squeeze it into the mouth. You put it in the dish, and you took the dish away, the fluid will remain there and float all over the cabin. You don't know. If a man lives in the space station for 6 months, he loses calcium in his bones. There's no way to know that except putting the guy out there for 6 months. Then they say they feed him additional calcium and he has to do exercise to keep the bones working. So I don't know is one of the most difficult things for normal people to say. I don't know.
Today, though, people are afraid of machines, and rightfully so, but they get that attitude from the science fiction magazines and the movies, because they're always killing people. All these machines are going to take over and constantly watch you. But that's because people are afraid of machines today because they abuse people. It's a misuse and abuse in the monetary system that we have to watch out for. In the future, machines, when they come in and they eliminate jobs, then people will have more access to goods and services, obviously. They'll have more time to be with their family, to go out on a cruise, do whatever they want, go back to school. But machines are used very differently in the future, not like they are today. The science fiction movies are like an extrapolation of the free enterprise system into the future, and it has nothing to do with a resource-based economy.
I just want to say that when a new machine comes in, we bring the help together. Instead of saying you've been working 8 hours a day, you now work 4 hours a day. Because the machines do a lot of wonderful work fast. You had a 1 week vacation a year, you now have a month vacation a year. So the machines give you more time off and more access to goods and services. But in the monetary system, if I get rid of you, instead of shortening your workday, I earn more. Do you understand? So we downsize.
Any other questions?
Yeah, here. 2 questions. One is really short, I think. It's, do we have the technology to do this now?
We have the technology to do it in 1927.
Okay, thank you. Now the second one is a bit more difficult. The woman says love is the most important thing to create this world where unity and this consciousness is...
I don't know how people, when they use the word love, can create this world. How does love give you the methodology to make a higher yield per acre? How does love give you the ability to eliminate cancer?
Sure.
I don't know what it means. There's no definition in that. Everybody uses it and they have another definition. If you go back to school and study that, then there's the ability to deal with it.
Love is a word that has something to do with a guy saying to a girl, I love you. She says, and I love you. Now what the hell does that mean? Does he want to get laid? Is he really in love with the girl? So let me tell you what the word will replace in the future. Instead of the word love, it's called extensionality. That means you have hands. You can pick up a thing, turn around, look at it. When you're extensional to another person, meaning enhance their knowledge, enhance their lives, give them information to live with and make their lives better, that's real love. But I love you is just words. When a person says there's not enough kindness in the world, well, extensionality. If you meet a person from Mars, if you did, if they had 6 arms, we go, yeah. But instead of saying that in the future, you say, what do you do with the 6 arms? You said, I can scratch my back, pet the dog, and eat my soup. Well, that's better than 2 arms. But we all go, yeah, because we look a certain way. I can assure you that if everybody had a nose a foot long in America, you'd have surgery done, make your nose extended. There's no such thing as beauty. Depends on where you're brought up, what the people look like, whether they got a bone through their nose, and paint their faces. That's beauty in that land. You know what I mean? But there's really no such thing. It's the things we name that gets us into trouble. Our language is too primitive to be able to make gigantic strides.
That was the same thing, the same idea with consciousness. You mentioned that it would be a consciousness shift, or you need a different consciousness. Well, everybody who uses that word has a different definition. It's like you have something overseeing in your head. We have nothing in our head that oversees and can distinguish what's significant and what's not. You just learn things sequentially that can make the world a better place. You don't become conscious. You know, when people say that, we say, okay, well, if you're conscious, how fast is your blood moving through your bloodstream? I don't know. Where is your liver? I don't know. There are bacteria that are all over the place, and radio waves that are going through. You can't see them. You're as conscious as your receivers. I think, what is it, dogs that can hear 30 cycles?
30,000.
30,000 cycles per minute. Per second. We can hear, what, 20?
Yes.
So we're as conscious as our receivers, and what we've learned in the past, and the books we've read, and the people we've met, the subculture that we grow up in. These are words that today should be, they really don't have much meaning today. Our language will change in the future, more relevant to the environment. Understand that?
Or when somebody said to me, will all people be alike in the future society? They will be in certain areas alike. They'll all be against war. They'll all be against dumping waste into the oceans and rivers. They'll all be against any kind of prejudice against women or Polacks or Jews or Swedes. They'll understand that all people need clean air, clean water, a relevant education. That's the real problem. Not getting mad at the Poles, or the Greeks, or the Swedes, or the Jews, or the Arabs. All these people, if you were brought up in an Arab culture, believe me, you would have 6 wives if you could afford it. And when the Arabs first came to this country, they brought all their wives with them. It's come to America. It's a free land where you can live in accordance with your own values. So the guy would come with 6 wives, and the government agency would say, you can only handle with 1 wife. He said, why is that? We all have many wives, those that can afford it. And so, he would bring all his wives in and said, you can only bring 1 wife. Besides, we don't like your name. We're going to call you Smith. It's easier to pronounce. So, it was not a free country. But if you come from the Arab world, you say, oh, we have 6 wives, they all get along with each other, we get along, and you got 1 wife and you're fighting all the time. So they don't understand. You see where they're coming from, it's different. Don't you see? If you're brought up in that culture, that looks right and normal. There is no such thing as right and normal. That's the message. There's no such thing as good or bad. If you're brought up to believe in 25 different gods, and she comes down and says, there's only 1 God, what are you, an agitator? We know what there's more than 1 God. 1 God can't attend to all those problems. So he might kill you because of your beliefs. And believe me, Christians have killed Christians all over the world. And they've been killing one another because your God is not like my God. The Jewish God says, if you take a man's son's eye out, you take his son's eye out. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The Christian God says, if a man strikes you, turn the other cheek. Completely different. I once asked Einstein, do you believe in God? He said, which one?
Einstein.
There's so many different kinds of God. So all this crap about God, they didn't know what made things happen in the past, so they invented this story of some guy that lives up in the clouds. And the Pope comes to America and he always points to God. And when he goes to China, he points the wrong way. Because China's on the other side of the world. When he goes to Spain, he points sideways. The Pope doesn't even know that the earth is no longer flat. It still points up. And every church I've ever been to, I always point up. When you go to different places on the world, it's round. And you've got to point up all around. So it doesn't make sense. They haven't even kept up with the findings.
Okay, we have a question down here.
Yes. You have a question?
You told us your visions, but you never explained how you want to get there. So, how you meant to make nearly 7 billion people participate?
If
If I lecture to about 500 people, I tell them if they like what I say, the Venus Project isn't perfect. It's just a lot better than what we've got. And if you leave here and you don't talk to people about these values, nothing new will happen. So I really want to make a major motion picture which shows how we get from here to there. Because a motion picture, you get to millions of people in 1 month. Millions. I can't in my lectures. So we want to use movies to help people understand what the world can be. I don't know what it will be. We may kill each other. Nuclear blast each other to smithereens. That's very probable if you don't do anything when you leave here. People are very stupid and they don't know how to use technology. Obviously they don't. So I'm telling you that Army rifles today have a laser beam on them. And if the beam is on you and I pull the trigger, bullets come out. If it's a little off, no bullets come out. That saves a lot of munition. The guns are getting better, more murderous, the bombs are getting worse. So what the hell good is all this technology if it doesn't go to enhance the lives of people and giving every human being the opportunity to become the best that they can become? This is what the Venus Project is about.
Jalil, upstairs, is there a question? Okay, we'll just go ahead.
Here, just now I got a question.
Okay.
It is, how can we start building it? What is the first step for us to do? What's the small step we can do now?
Well, we're working on it. That's not how we can start building it. Really, at this point, we don't have enough people with enough funds to be able to start building. We live in the monetary system today, and it does take funds today, or it does take a government that says, okay, I want to go ahead and do this. As of yet, we haven't met that, but there are possibilities that we're running into. So it takes a budget in today's system. And the first city would be transitional between this city and the next city. We would like to do the first city as a research center and have those who are interested in this direction come along and work on the automated systems for the next city to make it better, and work on books and videos and movies. People from all over who identify with this direction to introduce it to the rest of the world. It's not just a city where everybody would go and live comfortably. We're not interested in this. This is a global system. So we'd have people come from all over the world, stay in that city. If they like it, go back and build another city. It would be a type of a transitional city, plus it would be modular cities, so it would be very efficient and very clean, and it'd be easy to build elsewhere.
For example, when you grow vegetables, and they spray poisons on the vegetables to keep insects from eating it. We use ultrasound, and that keeps rats away and insects and doesn't poison the plants. They use genetic engineering, which I'm against, unless you run a long-term experiment to make sure it's safe. It takes nature 1,000 years to make 1 inch of topsoil. So we shave off the topsoil first, put it in soil banks. We don't build right over topsoil. You can talk about science right here.
Okay, we have a question up here, Roxanne.
I have 2 questions. The first, okay, what you're going to do with the jobs that can be automized?
Do with what? I didn't understand.
With the jobs that can be automized. I mean,
What are we going to do with the jobs that can be automated? Is that
that
it?
cannot be. I mean, jobs that can be run by machines.
Automated. Do you want to do?
Like what? Name a job again.
Like writing books, acting, stuff like that, you know.
Like acting.
I mean, jobs that can't be done by machines.
The Japanese are working on, well, James Cameron just had a beautiful film with a lot of automated figures. It's getting better and better. You can hardly tell what's real and what's not real out there. And it's much cheaper to do that than to pay actors in many instances. It's getting cheaper and cheaper.
CGI.
Okay, Roxanne, let's try to word the question differently.